We are live. Good evening, everyone. We're joined tonight by David from TFM. Thank you, Dave, very much for coming on board. We've got discussion. The foreplay tonight is Grimlock. There is loads. It's Friday night. It's 8 o'clock, and it's time for Transformers the Show.
I live my life walking down the street, meet the faces of the people I see. All the time I see your reflection. All the time I see your reflection. It's okay to feel alone. It's okay to be alone. All the time I see your reflection. All the time I see your reflection. 'Cause when I'm with you, it seems so easy. Seems so easy. My best days are with you. They are so easy. They are so easy.
Hey, welcome everyone to Transformers the Show. Loads to come on tonight's show. I'm really looking forward to it. First of all, David, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Hey, no
So-
problem whatsoever. Thanks very much for having me.
No, lovely to have you on. We'll have a chat about all things TFN in the discussion, if that's cool. We've got pickups, we've got Rohan's Corner. First of all, though, big news. Before we do the Transformers news, you can no longer dislike a YouTube video. Did you hear about this? So I checked this morning, and we always get the same guy gives us 4 dislikes with his multiple accounts before we even start broadcasting the show, which drives me insane. And he can't dislike us anymore. And I've got actual footage of me this morning when I realised that he can't dislike our footage anymore.
You have no power here.
No one can
Obviously,
dislike our
I'm
videos.
outgoing. Andy's going to.
All right.
Right.
What?
It's not
I
who's
think you'll
the
find your
fittest.
I'm
Gimli.
starting. I'm starting to get a sense of like what's important here. It's like before we start, let's not bother talking about Alexis and what's going on. No, let's.
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about
there's
the
that
serious,
too.
important stuff.
The important thing is we won, and we won. No, Lexus is off having a baby. He's
Well,
not.
he's
His
not.
wife is. So
Minor
we've let him off
issue.
tonight. He did try and dial in, but Sam was screaming too loud, wasn't she? So we had to say, no, we're doing the show without you, Alexis.
Really
he's still
ruining the
drinking
mood,
red
wasn't it?
wine. Yes.
Just
Right.
watch
It's weird.
everywhere. Yeah.
It was weird she was shouting so loud as well because she's not even in labour yet. So it was very weird.
It was just Friday. Right,
You don't know women. They've been in labour since this morning, probably.
Andy, time for the news. Save us.
I talk some TV, and now the news. Don't touch that dial.
Oh,
go.
news.
This
Right.
is the big ones.
Yeah, not a huge amount of news this week, but there are some little bits. Just before we get into the studio series stuff, so I don't forget to mention it. I know RJ was a big fan. Obviously, there's the new season of Cyberverse, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's come on as a YouTube exclusive thing, but you can't watch it here in the UK. So you can watch it in the US, or if you've got a VPN, you can get access to it that way. So
Yeah.
a lot of people have managed to watch it, and most people I've seen have been really giving it a lot of praise. I haven't been able to watch it yet. I hope we are able to watch it soon. Don't quite understand the decision to make it US only, but there you go. But yeah, it's out there. So if people want to go and watch that, they can.
Or just get a VPN. Perfectly good
Well,
thing to
this
do.
is it. This is it. I don't
And they're
understand these
designed
strange words.
specifically to give freedom of access and freedom of information,
There you go.
especially in
What
countries
easy.
like Germany and Canada. So if you go right through them, perfectly legal.
There
You
we
use
go.
dial-up for that. That's where I
Carrier
slam, I
pigeon.
think.
That's where it is now.
I'll have a look. Anyway, studio series, Transformers Bumblebee figures have been. We've had official shots. I think probably just to stop people from getting them early and showing them off. So we've got deluxe class Ratchet. Again, these are obviously styled around the actual Bumblebee movie. What do we think, guys?
Yeah, I like it. Like it a lot. I like the alt mode.
I think I don't know if it's just the colours that put me off the alt mode, but it does have a little bit of a feeling of whatever the vehicle was called from Aliens when they went out to
That's what I thought.
see the ship.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of that feel just with the
That
cockpit and
design.
everything. Yeah.
Could really do with a splash more colour.
The
Like,
paint apps. Yeah,
You know,
Sorry,
like
this is Ratchet. Ratchet doesn't do that. Ratchet.
I get it, but like, you know, in robot mode it's not too bad because obviously the chest breaks it up and stuff. But
Yeah.
in vehicle mode, that's just a block of white. Like
He's
you
just
know.
got a big, massive gun.
I was going to say Ratchet, you know, peace-loving medic Ratchet with his cannon of death that he's just going to blast everybody with. I love it.
And when he was being
Anyway.
made, why did he say, "Oh, paint me white and red"? Why do you want to be
just
that?
like
Oh,
the
because
colours,
one day I'll be an ambulance. All right.
You never know.
Yeah,
And then we had
Soundwave,
Voyager
make me a
class
favour.
Soundwave, which, you know, has them thick thighs that we all know and love from the film, and looks pretty good in robot mode. The alt mode is questionable.
It's very similar to that G.I. Joe.
It does look a
crossover.
bit like that G.I. Joe crossover mode that you shared, I think, through our Twitter, certainly, and in other areas of social media. But it also does look like, let's just fold it up a bit until we can say it looks a bit like something.
Well, okay, so what exactly is it then?
Exactly.
Flying
It's
spaceship.
Soundwave when he's been stood on by Overlord, as somebody made the
UFO.
comparison.
Have you seen some of the theories as to what it is and stuff like that?
There's no.
Go on.
It's based on the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover.
Well, there's like aerial drones in like the very first issue of Marvel UK. That
Oh,
look
yeah, I did see
very
that. Yeah.
similar and stuff. But the thing that I preferred was somebody on Twitter superimposed the Green Goblin on top of him. And I just
Yes,
thought
I've seen
was-
that one as well. That was
I
good.
thought that was the best thing. Yeah, he just transforms into the Goblin glider.
I quite like the look, like, say, of the robot mode. It just looks like one of those alt modes that's so they can say it's an alt mode. But I'm sure they'll tell us there was an excellent reason. Mark will get on it. I'm
Well,
sure.
see, the thing is, in that G.I. Joe crossover, was that spaceship not based on another time Soundwave as a spaceship? Because it
I've
is
no
almost
idea.
identical, apart from the white objects protruding from the front.
I'm not sure. Then we had Deluxe Class Brawn, again with a massive cannon. These peace-loving Autobots with their heavy weaponry. Very much
face drills. I love.
I tell you what, he's very much got that man-at-arms look, hasn't he? I know that they say like the color scheme and everything for Brawn was kind of inspired by that. But yeah, I think it looks all right. The alt mode is growing on me. I didn't like it at first. And then there's been some nice mock-ups people have done of this. I think there was one as Longtooth, the Pretender, where I think they just put the head of Longtooth on it. But, you know, it looked all right. And then the Among Us one was quite funny as well.
There's also like this one's I think the most interesting toy-wise as well because I want to know where those wheels go.
The ones at the front.
I'm guessing they're going to be up in the butt.
The ones at the front
Butt
and at
wheel.
the back. There's just like no wheels on that robot mode. I'm very.
Is this a
curious.
Digibash by any chance?
I'm sure they all will be at this point. Yeah, because.
Yeah. I just wondered if the artists we got to put them there went, oh, balls.
We'll find out, won't we?
Watching the show.
We'll
and
find
go,
out when
"Damn
they're
it."
reviewed early by somebody.
Yeah.
Ravage. I mean,
He looks like he's ready to stud, doesn't he?
it's like the head, and then I mean, as has been pointed out, and I do accept this, the cannon underneath or gigantic phallic
There's
looking
not a
thing underneath
representation of his
looks a little bit like the end of Soundwave's rifle. So there's some wondering whether he maybe has another mode or it's something to do with that. But yeah, I mean, the alt mode is just, again, it was
do you
pointed
think-
out on Twitter that actually, if you watch the film, he does eject as like a box thing and then he transforms. So again, movie accurate? Are we going to say that that's
yeah,
enough?
but don't you think they should have just thought a better placement for that gun? I mean, really, there. You know,
I don't know.
just
I don't think that's permanent. I bet that's something you can just plug in or not, and they've got, you know, like, well, yeah, we'll put a bit of weapon storage underneath the chest, and then not really thought
I mean,
too
someone's
much
still-
about
Well,
it.
it
done
must
that.
do absolutely because it doesn't exist in his alt mode.
Yeah.
Clearly comes off.
So yeah, this is it. Maybe that's what. Maybe these theories are all correct. I mean, that's part of the fun of these things when you see them is everybody coming up with their theories as to how things transform and work and why they look like
Isn't
dog
it-
penises.
Isn't it wonderful when, because it's not being reviewed by somebody who's pinched it from China, that you can actually speculate on these things.
Yeah.
It is nice to actually get a proper reveal, like from Hasbro. You know, it gives you that chance, doesn't it, to kind of ask these questions and have a bit of anticipation. In
But
advance.
do you know what it reminds me of? When I was a kid, I used to read the, you used to get the pamphlets which cover them, which show you the whole line when you get a Transformer.
Yeah.
And I used to look at Transformers, and what you said, Dave, about looking, see, I don't understand where the wheels go. That's what used to intrigue me. I used to look at the pamphlets and look at the Transformers and the alt modes, think I have no idea how. Snapdragon was one. I couldn't work out how he transformed. I always wanted him. That was a bit of the mystery.
Yeah,
I love those catalogs.
You know, like back in the G1 days and stuff like that. Like I don't know if you guys know this or not. I'm sure you do. It's obviously fairly common knowledge. But like, you know, if you were lucky enough to get Six Shot as a kid, like they literally went out of their way to seal his
instructions,
like in a bag and be like, try and figure all 6 modes out yourself, lad.
That's right. It was the challenge, wasn't it?
Now, fortunately, it was relatively easy because he's a box. You know, but yeah, like, you know, I mean, obviously, there's no magic to be found here with Ravage, you know.
Yeah.
But,
Not from what we can see.
No.
Oh, by the way, I don't think I've got the Wheeljack picture. We showed loads of pictures of Wheeljack last week because that one was picked up. I think it was by a reviewer, so we did show a lot of those off last week. But this one is the Core Class Shockwave, which that alt mode, and I wish I still had it. I used to have it. I got rid of it because I just didn't see the point of keeping it at the time. That is basically so similar to the little Legends Transformers Prime version or Commander Class or whatever they called it at the time. So I wonder if they basically use the same kind of skeleton, same transformation.
The thing is, Transformers, the movie Shockwave is quite a good figure in itself and a good sort of tank mode. So it must have been quite hard when they wanted to do something different. And maybe
I like the Transformers Prime tank mode of him, even though it was, you know, it was a Cybertronian tank. Because
I'm just thinking Cyberverse might have been an avenue they went because, you know, the normal Studio Series fans would have had that Shockwave done not numerous times.
He's got 2 hands as well, hasn't he? So he's got his hand there, and then that looks like a weapon that he holds. Yeah.
But his face is awful.
You know, remember we slagged off that, was it a third-party one that Lexi showed the other week, the head sculpt?
Yeah.
But that is, again, I do think that looks quite a lot like it did in the movie, and his head sculpt did look slightly different in the movie. So, you know. Maybe we're all wrong and Alexis was right, but I doubt that.
It baffles me why you would do Shockwave and Core Class.
Well, I mean, I suppose we've got Soundwave, not Optimus Prime and Megatron and everything. You can use it with your Arc and your other sets and stuff, I suppose. And then, obviously, the Beast Wars reissue stuff, which I think, Dave, last time you were on, you were saying you didn't really need to pick up because you've got the original ones. But for those people who are newly finding this love
and they want
for
a
Beast
horrendous toy, they can get this.
Tigertron, right?
Tigertron,
you only have that moment for a moment where you're like, here's Tigertron, right?
Yeah.
Tigertron with deep vein thrombosis, I think it's, you know, it's like, you know.
Yeah, but this is like, you know, this is the way they were, isn't it? I noticed Smiths have got a big sale on, haven't they, at the moment? Smiths are selling off a load of stuff, and I think they've cut the price of a lot of the Beast Wars re-release stuff.
They were expensive when they first came
out. They were, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I was a big Beast Wars fan, I'm sure I'd probably be happy to pay it, but, you know, I'd much rather get it at the prices they've dropped them down to now.
Wouldn't you rather just get the newer versions with normal size proportioned limbs?
I get what you mean, but I suppose it's the nostalgia thing. It's like us picking up a G1, isn't it? You know, that's why fans of other versions of Transformers might look at some of the G1 figures, like Pretenders and Micromasters and stuff like that, and think, well, they're a bit rubbish. But for us,
this is nothing compared to a Pretender. That's like sacrilege.
Sorry, I've just realised I may have just triggered Jamie.
No.
He does not deal well with criticism of the things he loves.
Really could have
face.
They really could have done a better job transforming him as well.
Yeah, I know. It's not quite right, is it? And then Scorponok.
He actually looks pretty decent, doesn't he? Which is kind of weird, you know, but he does in both modes. Yeah,
Scorponok's a great figure, great playability. One of the more expensive of the original Beast Wars line as well. So it's really good to like see him getting a reissue.
And I suppose the fly makes the top half of his claw.
Yeah, Yeah, it does.
And he looks like the re-release. I didn't realize. I wasn't paying attention when you showed these photos because I didn't care. But he looks like the
Thanks for your
re-release,
honesty.
doesn't he?
He looks like the one in the comic. He actually looks better version of the current comic just now than he does the Kingdom version.
Are these quite hard to pick up, Dave? Like complete and undamaged, be like the original Beast Wars figures. If you want to, like might pick up G1, is it quite hard to find them in good condition?
You know what I would probably say now it is. Like it's difficult. Like when I got in my Beast Wars kick, it was 15 years ago, and I was picking these guys up for like a $5.
Jesus.
Like, you know, so it was quite handy. But yeah, I mean, you know, in terms of things like Scorponok, you know, for a collector, we're going to turn around and we're going to say like, you know, it doesn't look like it does on the show, or it's too big, or it's out of scale, and all of that stuff. But I tell you what, I would give a kid that toy over anything that's been released in the last 10 years and say, have at it, because it's got firing missiles, he's got bees, his tail does things, and all of that. Like, you know, they are no, like you press a button on his tail and it like it stabs at you and stuff like that. Like it, you know, he's got his battle mask and all of that.
I'm beginning to understand why you like Beast Wars.
Well, this is it. You know, it's a bit like you know, I think everybody says this, but it's a bit like, you know, the Armada trilogy figures. You know what I mean? It's like, irrespective of whether or not you think they're great representations of the characters, especially Cybertron, they are great toys.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree with that. Yeah,
and that's, you know, for us, we're all cynical. What do? Like we buy our toys and we stick them on a shelf. And we go, yay!
I articulate my models.
Yeah, well, yeah, you might do. You might take one off a shelf nowadays, and you might fiddle around with it, and you might transform it, and then you transform it back, and you put it back on a shelf. Whereas, like these, you know, if you were going to give it to a kid, yeah, absolutely, they're expensive, they're clunky, they're chunky toys, and yeah, okay, they will probably break in the hands of a kid, but like, at least they'll have fun with it. You know?
That's it. Yeah, and then of course that led us on to a couple of official product shots of Pterosaur from the Kingdom line.
They're not Digibash anymore, the actual official images.
That's it. Yeah. So there you go.
And were they saying they're hoping the waist is mistransformed?
Yeah. I saw somebody comment on that. It looks. Yeah.
I think it is. I think you just need to like swivel it around. I can't remember if Air-Razor transforms the same way, because it's basically just Air-Razor. But
yeah,
it does look you. So you're right there. Yeah, the waist looks as though.
Yeah.
And that's from the. Sorry, it's not from Kingdom, is it? It's from the Golden Disc collection.
Yes,
that's what they're calling it now. Hence the Golden Disc. But yeah,
which isn't made of your gold disclaimer.
And this isn't Transformers, but for those people who play Fortnite, you know, all the kids, they're doing a book of definitely not us. They're doing a book of Boba Fett event type thing, and yeah, that's going to be cool. And may involve dogs.
Day before Christmas.
Exactly, something for us all to do. There you go. I did download a picture of Wheeljack. I couldn't remember if I had or hadn't. There it is. So there's Wheeljack for those of you.
Do you know what I like about the Studio Series is Studio Series have got some of the best transformations going from the toy line of Transformers. Very articulated figures, you know, quite fun. A much lighter, more pliable plastic, I find, the figures. So I'm looking forward to these to see what they're like. Oh, will they be like the Studio Series 86 line, which is also very good.
Yeah.
You know,
Can I ask, like, in term, because I don't collect the movie stuff, so I don't know if any of you guys do or not.
Yeah, I do.
So the way I always looked at Studio 86 was that it's basically just the Generations line. They needed to get more toys out, so they stuck it under a Studio Series 86 logo. Engineering-wise, it's exactly the same. But
I think it's a slight improvement and a lot more engineering taking place and a lot more plastic, which probably means they got away with a higher price point initially than the Airfry's counterparts or their Kingdom counterparts for Voyager, Leader, and Deluxe.
Okay, because you see, I don't feel that I haven't seen a single Studio Series toy that I don't think couldn't have been released in the mainline line.
Hot Rod.
I mean, engineering wise, he's genius. But I don't. Well, the point that I'm trying to make here is just that like. Are the Studio Series movie toys a substantial increase over the just general movie toys?
No, they're kind of hit and miss. You got some that are really superb, and then you got some that are absolutely diabolically mince.
Right.
You know,
because I looked at all of these photos and I thought, actually, these look really nice. However, hollowed legs and all of that stuff, they generally just look like Generations toys. You know, I don't see anything special in it. If Hasbro is indeed, pitching
look into the eyes. It says, "Buy me now." You want me, baby?
you know what it is?
You hear the voices.
I buy them and then they end up in a tub. Like...
tubs. And then there's a couple of images of the core series figures, Ravage and Shockwave there in the boxes.
How much real estate is Ravage not taking up in that box?
Yeah, I know. That's a lot of space for Ravage there. And they'll be the same price, I'm guessing. So if you're in a shop, which one are you going to get?
How much do you think they'll be? £15?
I don't know, but by the time they come out,
13,
50.
Well,
I think they'll be looking at least £10, maybe.
Well,
12.
when are these due to come out? Next year? Because
they always say that though, don't they? And then they like somebody leaks them, and then all of a sudden they appear in stores when you weren't expecting them. It's like the pre-orders when you told, oh yeah, you won't be paying for it till February, and then in October you get told, nope, it's on its way.
Because we've just seen a price increase, and we're due to get another price increase if the rumors are true by March of next year. So like these will easily be like 12, 13 quid each.
I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's because of like in Asia the market being closer to where the factories are and the distribution, but it's like like my family in Singapore, they've been able to get me a Transformer, which isn't at least for another month, for two months even, and it's because the store's got them in stock, but they're not allowed to release them, and then sometimes they just go, well, you know what, we're just going to get rid of some of them to our customers, which we know. And then suddenly you got a Transformer, which is like at least 2 months earlier, and then you see things like Robot Kingdom doing it all the time.
Do you think that there's a chance that we might be getting more fleshed out films from that part of Bumblebee? So Bumblebee came out a while back. They're now releasing the Studio Series bits of that film, just specifically the first bit of Bumblebee the movie. Do you think there's any risk of us getting that explored more?
No.
Cool.
I think they're just. Some people think it's like a placeholder, don't they? There's been some people have suggested that some of the legacy line might like filling a gap before the Rise of the Beast comes out, and then of course there'll be a massive push on the toy line for that. But that's now, which is about the news we're about to talk about, is that Transformers Rise of the Beast has been put back a year, so it was supposed to be out in June 2022, and now won't be released till I think it was June the 9th, 2023. So. Well, I'm not quite sure the reasons.
This is the most interesting bit of news to come out of Transformers for years. I am fascinated to see what Hasbro does now. Because you assume those toys are ready to go.
Yeah.
The production is done and everything. I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised if
why they delayed it.
Well, I don't think they've given an official announcement, have they? But if the rumors are true, and I would probably tend to believe this is probably the case, it's purely because of the fact that now that all of these movies are coming out of COVID and studios are desperate, all of these special effects heavy movies are just the production companies for special effects are just rammed.
Star Trek movies all being delayed by a year. It's the same studio, Paramount, isn't it?
Yeah.
What were they calling that? They were saying a lot of people, it's even in the computer industry, isn't it? A lot of people past breaking point. There's so much workload which they have to catch up on, and they just don't have the staff or the.
Yeah, well, that's what they're chalking. That's what they're chalking the Spider-Man leaks to, because they're just having to try and get as many companies as possible.
There's
and
always
then not-
Spider-Man leaks, isn't it? It's a tradition. Didn't they, like Sony, was it a couple of years back, someone actually pays to give out all the clips released by Sony themselves, which virtually nearly made the Spider-Man film, I think.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating to see what Hasbro does though with this. Like what is going to fill that gap on the shelves?
Yeah.
More G1 chug.
We hope. We demand.
Slaves to
Because there's
G1
just
chug.
not enough to it.
More. You've had
Yeah.
like 500 bots in the space of 3 years.
Come
Not
on,
enough.
Mark.
More.
I did
It's
a
like those
sacrifice for you
spuddies.
last
Enough
night.
is never enough.
Hey, if it gets me my Stunticon set before you know, like, come on.
See, we're all out for ourselves deep down. That's what it is. And then, of course, third-party news, which is normally led by our very own Alexis, but he is not able to be with us.
Just want to
so-
say, anyone who's watching this, like pre-recorded afterwards, make sure to read the live chat as well, because there's lots of really good comments in there, which are probably even more accurate than our comments on the show.
Oh yeah,
So
we
expect-
don't know what we're talking about. the live chat is usually much more accurate than us. Go on then, Paul. You know what this is, don't you?
So this is Magic Square version 2 of their Optimus Prime. Their version 1 in the world of third party was highly acclaimed as an awesome, amazing Transformers. I can't wait to see what
Is
their
that the
version 2
Ultra
is.
Magnus version one?
Yeah, and this one's the New Age one for comparison. New Age one I never picked up. I don't like that chunk on his chest.
I was going to say
it looks too
that was
separated, doesn't
yeah.
it?
We've
But
seen
the Magic
that,
Square
obviously.
one doesn't have that. It's
Do
brilliant.
me
Side
a
by
favor.
side.
Go back to the original Optimus Prime picture. That picture looks epic. Now go to the Ultra Magnus one. That just looks like your dad, like trying to pick something up off the floor.
It's me trying to get up after doing a bit of Guardian. Oh, too old for this shit.
Me after watching Netflix. Just
What a difference in angle.
No, he's not
makes,
crying,
isn't it?
Jamie.
Like, you know.
So
Yeah.
these are two different bots. This is the New Age one compared to the new Magic Square one, and the Magic Square one's on the left. It does look better. The original Magic Square one was awesome. So yeah, everyone's really excited. And this is Legends class. So this is like Chug core class. It's tiny. It's really, really small. So yeah, looking forward to that.
And then big Firebird build, which was shared by Alexis, who's not here to discuss it. This is Alexis's.
Transformers After Dark.
Well, I was going, still Alexis, is this based on the Playboy Bunny or something like that?
Nicey, isn't it? It's nicey.
Isn't it? Yeah, isn't it some kind of remold of that? I mean, that car mode or vehicle mode or whatever the hell we're calling it.
It does
that's
look good,
kinda
doesn't
cool.
it?
Although that might be the lighting done in such a way that we can't see it too well.
Although if I
But,
got
yeah.
robot Maylin might have to put me in for counselling or something. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure she's already got plans. Don't worry about it, Jenny. Whoops. Oh, God, how did that sneak in there? There we go. My favourite meme of the year. Thanks, RJ. And that's it. Amazingly, that's all the news this week.
Oh wow!
Shocking.
Look at that. Well, that means it's on to. We'll do pickups in a second, but first of all, it's time for Fanstoys Innuendo. So we've taken a picture from the Fanstoys Facebook group. I replaced it with a comical photo. You have to guess what, which is going to be brilliant because it's a third-party Fanstoys Transformer, and you're all Chug collectors. So we'll see how we do with this. So
Finally got my photo set up restored. Had to get
Wait.
Thomas out for a shot.
It's a midget with big teeth. Is it Ravage? Is it Ravage?
no, it's
It's
not
Thomas,
Ravage.
isn't it? Is Thomas Astro Train?
Thomas is a good shout. Oh, you're learning.
I know my
Dun, dun,
my
dun.
Astro Trains.
That's really
I can't. I'm insulted that you felt we wouldn't know that one.
I like it that way too. Alexis wasn't here to do an actual Fans Toys.
Yeah, I know, just to annoy him. Oh dear.
Lots of people saying Astro Train.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was kind of
Especially
obvious in
after
the end.
Andy said it. I know they did it.
I'm pretty sure they probably answered it first.
Wait. Astro Train.
Oh, well
That's why
done.
that's why I did so well at that quiz in Newcastle. Just wait till everybody else answered. That's right.
Just copied
What have you put, RJ?
RJ, yes.
Just couldn't read
Right.
some of his handwriting, so he won.
Should we do some mofo pickups?
We now return to the Transformers.
Did you get anything last week? Who would like to go first? Jamie, what'd you get?
Wait a minute. Just give it a second.
Cool.
While he's
Double check my
waiting.
stuff there. I'm ready. I'm
Sounds
ready.
like a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
This week I picked up Selects Generation Galvatron.
I
And
thought you picked up the annual. I was very excited.
I've got the annual. I've got the annual, and actually this weekend I forgot I got my issue 3 of Transformers UK Marvel, so that's me completed the whole Transformers comic collection. So
Wow.
I got that
Well
this week.
done.
Yeah,
Cool.
I know. So it cost me like 20 quid for that one comic. Where all the other comics are usually like £1 to pick up. So it's like well, it was only one I needed. So it's like a whole year of waiting, and I thought I'll just go and get it. You know,
You got
so
all 300 plus individual issues.
yes, all
Nice.
of them.
Nice.
And I've got some like
Legendary.
doubles. So I'm going to go through and look which I like best and which one's best condition.
Ooh.
You know, so I'm quite delighted. I'm also collecting the current IDW one as well, which is quite good. But yeah, so when I pick a Galvatron, I always think of the Marvel UK Galvatron. To me, there's like two Galvatrons that exist out there. There's a movie Galvatron voiced by Lemon Leroy, and then there's a Galvatron from the UK Marvel comics who's highly intelligent, very powerful, evil, chaotic at times, chaotic evil, I guess. But you know, this is a Galvatron which I know and love, and it's like there's two Galvatrons for me. As I said, there's the comic Marvel UK Galvatron, and there's the Galvatron from Transformers the movie. Both epic Galvatrons, both to me almost standalone characters in themselves. You know, you have those wonderful colors of that silver grey, that sort of purple color with the red sort of shoulders. Sometimes it's silver shoulders, but you know, it's just the way the comic industry kind of worked back then. It always changed the colors there. But you know, Galvatron, there he is before you met the Seacons, which is, I think, Andy's sometimes favorite combiner group before you know he actually beat them up.
Yes,
And-
they are.
Yes. And there's like Galvatron, Coronation Starscream. This is bad comedy, you know, before he absolutely annihilates Starscream.
Nice.
You know, Galvatron will crush you just as Megatron crushed Prime. Also from like Transformers the movie.
Sounds more threatening in the Glaswegian accent as well.
Yeah, I would love to say that line, but me and Linda
Shouldn't
don't
it?
appreciate it.
Shouldn't it be Galvatron will glass you?
No, Glaswegians use that fist. No.
It's
And
a
that's it.
northern thing. I appreciate. That.
You're thinking of women from Middlesbrough.
You know, and there's my homage to the sort of iconic sort of like comic
awesome.
panel of when Galvatron's on top of Ultra Magnus, which I encountered the story first for the annual, which I just showed there. You know, when he's fighting Ultra Magnus, I think he comes up from the ice, doesn't he? So Ultra Magnus, and he's going, "I'll tear off your head and rip the power core from your twitching husk of your corpse." And what's the matter, Galvatron? Not enjoying the ride. And that was taken, I think it was Jeff Senior was the original artist there. I've got the original writers there, Simon Furman as well. You know, fantastic story. Part of the whole Target 2006 onto Time Wars sort of storylines, which Galvatron was all part of. So there's the sort of select box. And there was what inside, and there you have a sort of matrix, which the sort of original sort of green matrix. Now I know this is meant to do with another comic IDW line, but I think of the green matrix. I think of the one with Thunderwing War. You know, the
Yeah, I
pretend
was going to
Thunderwing.
say.
Yeah.
IDW. I would have thought it was like a homage
Yeah.
to. God, what is it? It's not. What's the story, man?
It's when the Thunderwing gets the matrix
Yeah.
from
Matrix
from
Quest,
Optimus
sorry.
Prime.
Matrix
Yeah.
Quest. Thank you.
Yes, and it's got the chain in that. So to me, I think it's more like that. And I know, but some people are talking about it. It's like IDW storyline, but I think it's more. You know, I get the images of Thunderwing and his when he had the Matrix and how he turned it evil. So there they are, the sort of sets out there. The two guns which look like the spaceships, which the Decepticons came in, which I've forgotten the name.
Not Nemesis, was it? It was
Yeah, it's not Nemesis. It's
the Vindictor, the Revenge. Oh, can't remember.
RJ
Revenge?
will be screaming it down YouTube channel.
The Revenge.
I didn't get it right, did I? I'm learning.
And there you've got the sort of two Galvatron figures there, you know, standing side by side. And to be honest, if you had to choose which one is the best, I just couldn't do it. because to me they both represent a different character who just happened to have the same build and the same alt mode and both called Galvatron. You know, I guess that's when you talk about your love, David, of like Beast Wars, you know, it's that sort of like nostalgia draw. And I really see them as two sort of like separate sort of individuals. And there's a Hasbro stock photo of the gun because I managed to lose my photos of all Galvatron.
Oh,
when
no.
I don't know what's happened to them. It's like, I don't know if it's because I've got so many parental software on my PC now, but I don't know if I looked at that image and thought it looked like a penis and deleted it. I don't know. I couldn't bloody find stuff, but I didn't get too stressed. You know, I spent about 2 hours trying to find them. They'll show up somewhere, you know. But yeah, so I'll just stop the photos just now. Stop share screen, and I'll just focus on the Majestic, which is Galvatron. As I said before, it's got that sort of classic sort of like you know, silver grey, the red shoulders, you know, the purple there. I mean, it doesn't show too well on the video camera, but I tell you, see if you try to take a photo with this thing shines. It almost glistens. It's almost like it's really reflective. I mean, everything does. It's just absolutely unreal. And it's such it's this, well, it's the same transformation as Kingdom actually, so it's nothing too much about it. I mean, he does turn into his gun mode. It does look like a stunted tie wing, which has had its wings ripped off, and it's got stubby little legs and with a big huge arse because it's had Botox injections. But you know, apart from that, I think everyone is always going to have Galvatron in his robot mode. And as I said before, that sort of matrix there just gives you that idea of, you know, when Thunderwing had corrupted it. That's what it does to me, you know. So it's just like an epic figure. The only thing I would say is the gun. I wish it was smaller. You know, I know big guns are a good thing, but I wish it was smaller because you know it should really be in his forearm, and I wish the handle which holds the gun was longer to give that sort of more dynamic, sort of better proportion. You know, so the gun will be down in his forearm and you have a longer handle which will go up to his shoulder. That's
You're
like
right.
a smaller gun.
Fanstoys Galvatron is almost, the gun's almost the same size, but the Galvatron's almost twice as big. I was laying in bed looking at them the other day. The gun's the same size on the Masterpiece as it is on the Chug.
So going back to Galvatron, I don't know if it was just me being a bit unlucky, but when I was transforming them and I was trying to put them back together, I couldn't get the sort of purple tab into the sort of grey slot, which is there. And I've circled them both there. And it was just like a nightmare. There was just no way I could get it in there without, I mean, forcing it. And it's the one thing I just didn't want to do with a, you know, £60 toy. So what I did was I just filed it slightly because there was some extra flesh on the tab. So every so slightly, I just took, you know, every so often I would do like 10 strokes or so and then just test it. And then it would work fine. On to my next thing, I got this, well, what week is Optus Pixis, which is MMC Orion packs. And so I was taking some photos there. Now, this guy's been out for like since ever. So there's been plenty of photos out there. So I thought I'm going to do something a little bit different with this photo. I'm going to do like tell a sort of a little story using some of the other Mastermind Creation figures. So there's Optimus, well, Orion Pax, driving through the desert as you do on planet Earth in Cybertronian mode. And he comes across, well, what's it, the DGD squad? Well, one of the new members. He decides to do a hard brake turn, get away from her, turns around, he's getting chased, realizes he's counted another member, so he's surrounded, transforms, takes out, not shoot to kill because, you know, she's a woman. That would be just not a polite thing to do. So it's just to injure her slightly. And it's a close-up shot for a dynamic pose because he's just done something heroic. He's disabled the women female Transformer. Because Maylin was like, you're not taking pictures of him beating up female Transformers, are you? But it's not how it looks. And I went, well, it's exactly how it looks. But there are evil Decepticons, so it's okay. But he's not shooting to kill. So then he kicks one violently. It's sort of another angle. The power of the man's foot coming down on him. Brings out his guns. She's pretty much defenseless. She raises her hand to stop.
Does this get weird?
No, it definitely does. Get weird. I thought this is what Alexis would do. I'm disappointed.
Then she gets Stockholm Syndrome instantly.
I'll do anything not to be executed, Mr. Prime. Anyway,
so there she is. She surrenders, drops her gun, takes off her battle mask, looks down because she's a failed warrior. Optimus Prime could execute her. He thinks about it, but he's noble, so he turns around and just walks off. He's won the battle. He's not that he won't walk. No, it just wouldn't happen. So he continues his walk. And that's just a fun shot of Mother 2 bots, which I was transforming last night until about 3 o'clock in the morning.
I was going to say, it's not an easy transformation.
I'll stop there.
Good night, children.
And my last pickup was which she was there in the video. It was these guys to complete the entire. Is it what they called again? DGD squad?
DJD.
Yeah. So I've now got the entire squad now, and I'm quite delighted because they're a lot better than I thought. I wasn't too impressed at Torta from like reviews and stuff, but in hand he's so much better. That's me finished, Paul.
Superstar, thank you very much. Who wants to go next? Did you get anything, David, this week? Pick anything up recently?
You know what it is? The irony being that, like, because I've not been on for weeks, I could just say, yeah, I got this and this and this. But the fact of the matter is, like, there's nothing out now at the minute. There's nothing to buy. Let's have a look.
I could be your personal Transformer shopper.
You could, like, I went into Smith's and I bought a Bret the Hitman Hart figure.
Nice. That counts. That
counts. I saw them last time I was there. Nice looking figure, like.
Yeah, he really is. Like, I don't know why. I have no idea why I bought a wrestling figure. I don't.
I was going to say, is that something? Yeah.
No,
but it's Bret the Hitman Hart. To be fair.
Well, it is. I mean, I bought the Hitman and I bought the old yellow racist as well, who's sitting on a shelf over there. But like I instantly took a photograph of them both in the box when I got them home and just sent them to me mates. I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like this is what happens when, because I've said this plenty of times before, like my collecting days of Transformers are coming to an end. My collection that I want is nearly complete. And right now there is literally nothing. Like I could buy another Gnaw, or I could buy a Sweep, but I already have them. You know what I mean? And so yeah, like this is, I think, clearly what's going to happen. I'm just going to walk into Smith's, realize there's nothing I want, and buy something randomly, and then
begins.
And then it will end up in a tub.
This is the way.
Yeah, that's it. It's so yeah. But no, nothing, because there's nothing out yet. I'm waiting on Pipes and Slammer to be officially announced.
Yeah, a few people said that in the chat today. Bring it on. I'm kind of similar. Like I keep running out of Transformers to sort of collect, or I don't know. Last week I bought Pogs, and that
I was going to say, have you got more Pogs? Come on, have you got more Pogs?
What
this
Pogs
week,
did you get?
I got Series 1. I got all of them except for like 2, so I'm going to try and find the 2. But this week I got Hydra, who obviously is a rare from Monsters in my pocket. and I've ordered a sealed Monsters in My Pocket thing with a load of them, so I can't wait for them to come. But yeah, Hydra from... I'll pop him up there. Ruin my focus for the rest of the show. That's Hydra from Monsters in My Pocket. He's a rare. You can tell. It says 25.
You see, Alex,
I mentioned it's a rare flex.
Other than that, I got Fanstoys Hoodlum, which is Hot Rod, which I was super excited to get. So this one's Hasbro's Masterpiece one, and this one's Fanstoys one. It's crazy. He's really solid. He's metal. This one's very plasticky, but this one is so cheap now. And I would, if you're a Chuck collector, I would urge you to try him out. It's like £20 to pick up, and he's a brilliant Transformer. But I've had him for a while. This is my second version of him. But I picked up Hoodlum. I can see there is a price difference. The quality on the Fanstoys one's insane. The colours are a lot better. The Hasbro
He's not
one has
very pink, boy, is he?
No, he's not. But his alt mode isn't as good as the Hasbro one either. The Hasbro alt mode is a lot better. But his Transformers mode, his robot mode, is stunning. So yeah, that was my pickup. A really happy pickup. I'm more excited though. It's just another Hot Rod, isn't it? I'm more excited about the Monsters in My Pocket, which are coming, which I bought for like £12, and collecting the last 2 Pogs I need. So it's weird, isn't it? We'll go for weird points in our collecting journeys. Right, Andy, how did you get on this week?
I've not really got anything, not this week, but just I just wanted to, I've realised, right, that I've got about 4 copies of most of these annuals, 3 or 4 of each of them, and Kobe's got one, Lucas has got one, like a little set of them for themselves, and I keep encouraging them to read them, but yeah, they don't get into it like I do. But yeah, just seeing that picture that you showed, Jamie, just made me suddenly think, oh my God, I love
I've got
that.
all the annuals down there. I mean, I've completed my Transformers UK Marvel collection.
Did anybody else just love the tech specs bits as well? You know,
Yeah.
I used to just sit and look at them like I did the catalogs, just all of that stuff. Yeah, sorry, it's not a pickup. It's just that's what it made me think of when I was watching Jamie's picks.
My one memory of the annuals, and like this is kind of like a weird thing because I was a very late developer in terms of me reading and stuff, so I never actually read comics, but people would give me comics and stuff. But one of the annuals, the inner page is basically the arc. I can't remember which one it is, but like the first page is literally just the Autobot base and stuff. And I would just use it.
Complete Works? Is that Complete Works? It was kind of looks like an annual, but it was like based on the collection comics, and it was like issues 1 and 4. Then Complete Works Part 2 was issues.
I don't.
48.
I'm sure it was one of the annuals. I could be wrong. I mean, we're talking like you know.
Is it the one where you see all the Autobots lined up?
No, it was just an orange background of like. You know, maybe my memory's playing tricks on me. I could be wrong, but I just used to use it as a good background as a kid.
The chat will tell us, Dave. The chat
sure
will be
they
on
will.
this
Yeah,
now.
they'll
Either
get
that
it.
or I'm literally going mad, you know. But...
I think the only annual I don't have a copy of from G1 is the one with Jazz on the front cover, where it was like some of the reprinted stuff, because by that stage they'd kind of thrown in the towel a bit, but that's like now one of the rarest because it was like 1990 or something like that.
I thought it was the Dinobots one that was the rarest.
It's probably both. They're the 2 that everybody always wants to try and grab whenever they come up for sale, but they don't come up for sale that often. Certainly not for like a reasonable price, as everybody likes to say. I need to put a post. I need to put a post on asking for pointing out. I need to put a post on saying how my child really wants, all of the original annuals in mint condition for £20. Can anybody help me out? That kind of thing for a reasonable price. Yeah, the reasonable price thing does. I'd like to buy something for a reasonable price. Wouldn't we all? It does. It's just, reasonable price means I don't want to pay very much. The price is the price.
Calm down, calm down. Right. So where were we? So we've done pickups.
Yes.
So that means it's time for Rohan's Corner. And look, Jamie's ran off for Rohan's Corner.
He's going to get his annuals now because he wants to answer the
We're
question.
just going to have to show them.
I know,
what-
I want to
looking
show
in the
my
chat.
annuals. I wanted to show
No,
my
he just wants to show
annuals.
his annual. Sorry.
Okay, so
It's just a
new
flex.
segment now, Annual Corner. Take it away, Jamie.
Only once a year, though.
Equinox one, which I think I always remember this.
I love
game
that
as a
one.
Kid. Yeah, that's brilliant. And then
Hi, Brad.
there's the Transformers the movie
Brad.
comic annual book, signed by Steve Bush. There's the complete works, and that's got like the arc in it with all the Autobots.
Yeah, so it might have been that, maybe. Yeah.
And there's Complete Works Part 2.
Open that book.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that
had
would
Complete
be-
Works Part 2 as
That-
well.
that's Part 1. So that's Part 1. Part 2 is the first one I showed you.
Oh, Part 1 then.
Is it in there? Is it in part 1?
I think it
Yes,
is. That-
Look inside Part 1.
Yeah, open up part 1. Open up the first page of part 1.
Yeah,
Break it out of its plastic seal.
that'll be.
No, it's
Complete
not.
Works,
It's good.
'cause It's slightly bigger than the. No, it's
No,
later in
like
the story.
literally just like open it up, like literally from the cover.
Oh, I know what we can call this segment. Does he do annual? Annual sex.
Yeah, it's only
Does he
that
do annual?
at the very start.
Bugger, it wasn't that one? Oh well, never mind.
What about the one beforehand?
We'll find it, Dave. It's
I
somewhere.
don't know.
Yeah,
I just want to know at this point that I wasn't mad.
when it's got the arc.
It wasn't
with all
that
the
bit, was it?
Autobots.
Where the Autobots are
No,
all sounding
no,
off.
no,
it
like,
literally- Literally, because that's the thing that's so weird about it. Like, is the fact that it, you know,
This is the one that everyone's got, I think.
yeah, that was that the first? It was certainly one of the first.
Yeah,
that was the first one. Yeah.
this is the Dinobot one.
There's, yeah,
gosh.
that's the Dynamite one. Look at that.
That Transformers iconic,
Just
the
jazz
typography. That one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the jazz one I was talking about. Yeah.
There's Optimus. I can't
Oh, I love that
remember
one
his
too.
name, but- Yeah.
Power Master Prime on the front.
Oh, and yeah, I've got another one of those. And I remember this one. I think this
Yeah,
was
that's
the
the only
second
one
yeah.
I've got.
It's the only one. Oh, Paul, there you go. There's a mission for you. Get the others, man. Come on.
You have to get
Can't
others.
join us.
I haven't got room. You used to see my Judge Dredd.
All of my original kid
2000 AD
ones are in a
annual
box
collection.
over there, sealed up in a box. So I'm not getting them out. Now.
Hey,
I'm not digging around in all that.
Hey, look, when your bookshelves start looking like that,
I saw your
Oh.
post about we're needing more bookshelf space.
IKEA, man, IKEA have let me down so hard. I'm so angry.
Right.
Now I don't know why
Brad.
it's done on the camera. But
That's IKEA's fault, that is.
it is. It's absolutely IKEA's fault.
Oh dear.
So
Cool. Right. I can't remember. Oh, Rohan's corner. Sorry, Rohan. Rohan, it is over to you. So this week it's a bit of a Beastie Beast theme, and we are going to go live now to Rohan.
Rohan.
Thank you, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the corner. And this week I was going to do a review of Fanstoys Hot Rod. But Mr. David Wayne asked the question last week, are we going to have a Beast Wars special for episode 96? And I thought, yeah, why not?
We're moving in.
Beast Wars really kicked off the Beast era. And if you've seen Chris McFeely's video on the Beast era, it's excellent. Go and check it out. He brings up a lot of comments and facts about how Beast Machines and Beast Wars changed the Transformers franchise massively. And I wanted to touch upon this, and I wanted to talk about how Beast Wars and Beast Machines, the Beasts, were brave in Transformers.
Today I'm the teacher. If you have the courage.
And in the sense that actually it wasn't them, it was Hasbro and it was Mainframe and it was everyone else who came together to build this Beast era, including the Japanese series Beast Wars Neo and Beast Wars 2 and all those bits and pieces, which I haven't seen, unfortunately. But if we think about the Beast era coming off the back of 10 to 12 years of Generation 1, Generation 2 figures, and have been obscenely popular in the first 6 to 8 years, let's say, there was a massive shift change, right? Hasbro realized that their brand was waning, they needed to re-inject some life into it, and so they thought that let's add some organic beasts into the mix. Now, the beasts in general aren't a new concept. We've had beasts in Generation 1 with the Dinobots and the Predacons and Abominus and the Terracons and so on and so forth. Even alternative characters which were used in the series which weren't Transformers as well, kind of weird aliens. But overall, we hadn't had organic beasts that could turn into robots. And this concept was, shall we say, a little bit shocking for most Transformers fans back in 1995, 1996. And I was one of them. I really did not get on board. You've probably heard me talk about this before with the Beast Wars series when it first came out. With the toys, I tried my best. I bought a few and didn't like them and stopped buying them and pretty much fell out of love with Transformers for a few years. And it wasn't until later in life that I realised, wow, this show, Beast Wars, was absolutely phenomenal. And it was because they introduced so many new concepts and they were brave about what they did with the franchise. Not only did they adhere to most of the Generation 1 lore, but they introduced new things like time travel. They introduced new concepts like Energon Overload, like Sparks, like the Vok, like defection from the Predacons to the Maximals, like treachery within the ranks of the Predacons, but not for the case of Starscream trying to usurp power, but subsets of Decepticon espionage within the Predacon ranks from the Tri-Predacons Council and the Decepticon Police and all of this. They introduced the concepts of real female Transformers characters. Okay, we had Alita 1 and a couple of characters here and there, RC, but let's be honest, they weren't given much limelight and they didn't have much to do or say. We're talking about real characters like Black Arachnia and Air Razor, who really actually got involved in the storyline and shaped it in their own manner. And we're talking about character development. If nothing else, Generation 1 was a stream of toys, and you could see that. They were on the screen every other episode. They were switching them in and out, rotating them, just like they did with GoBots. But in Beast Wars and in Beast Machines, you had this core group. Due to the limitation on the budget for the CGI, they could only put on so many characters on the screen, kind of similar to what we had with the Netflix series more recently. But basically, what we were seeing was a core group of characters, episode in and episode out, who were just going to be there. And they would add further characters down the line as the series was extending. But those core group of characters got so much development. They got so much emphasis. They actually became something unique in themselves and have built their own legacy till today. And it's had an everlasting effect. You only have to go and look at RID in 2000, 2001 to show that those beasts are still there. Look at the recent Netflix Kingdom series and the resurgence of the Beast characters there. And just look at the upcoming Rise of the Beast film coming out next year. Obviously, the beasts are here to stay. And I think over the years, we've all come to agree that actually Beast Wars was a fantastic show. Beast Machines is still very polarizing. I myself love certain aspects of the show, the Vircon generals, the first time they introduced clones really into the Transformers franchise as real things and were utilized further down again in Prime and other series. And the fact that they had Rhinox coming back as a good character turning into an evil character, Megatron pretty much on his own for the majority of the series in Beast Machines. I think that was brilliant. They did have some horrible concepts like the Oracle and the superstitious stuff about eating plants and transorganic and trying to get the world to be balanced and all this nonsense. But overall, it was still a great story, just with really, really crappy toys. One of the things that I really disliked about the Beast era was the toys. And I've gotten rid of all of my Beast toys. In fact, I think Beast Wars Ravage, who came out recently, is pretty much the only one that I have now. I think polarizing was the right word I used earlier. When it comes to the shows, Beast Machines has had a little bit more of a following these past few years, but overall it's still probably a negative for most. And Beast Wars, the show itself is cracking. Everybody loves it who's seen it. Andy and Jamie. But you know, in terms of the actual toy line, I think, again, it's sort of 50-50. And we can see that from the pickup of the Kingdom line and how many people are going out there and buying those Beast toys, and the resurgence of the retro Beast Wars toys, which are warming the shelves as we speak. Obviously, the characters were one of the big things that really brought a lot of passion and emphasis into the Beast era, and those characters still live on today. I think, you know, when Netflix came out recently with their Kingdom series, there was so much uproar about the characters not being accurate and not being good enough, and I totally agree. You know, I said it in my review that Beast Wars Megatron was abysmal. Rattrap basically said nothing. They just put an accent on him. Cheetor was non-existent. Some of the other characters, while they did resemble and have aspects of their character, like Rhinox, just didn't get any airtime. And the ones that they did push, Primal and Air Razor, etc., they were just pretty much boring for me. They didn't give any extra. I'd like to see more from Scorponok, Waspinator, these sorts of characters, but yeah, they didn't get any airtime. And one of my favourites, Inferno, didn't even get in the show, or a toy, let alone in the show.
He ain't gonna be there.
Hasbro sometimes really does baffle me.
Pardon me if I don't buy that load, monkey.
But anywho, that has been my take on the 96th anniversary. We've had 25 fantastic years of Beast Wars goodness, and presumably we're going to get more beasties in the future with the rise of the Beast film coming out and reigniting that. Maybe we'll even get a new RID type series with the Decepticons or Predacons being predominantly beasts and the Autobots being predominantly bots, or vice versa, or some sort of mixture. That would be cool, a bit like in the Unicron trilogy's Cybertron series, which actually was the best of that trilogy in my opinion. What do you think, guys? What's your favorite beasties?
You're smooth, Black Arachnia. Very smooth. It does not inspire confidence. No.
So, this has been Rohan for another week on Rohan's Corner. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you all like the Beast saga. Let us know what you think, and I'll catch you again next week on The Corner. Back to the studio.
Hey boys, who we've been rumbled? Well, let's bounce.
There we go. Han, thank you so much for that. And of course, this is our Beast Wars 25th spectacular to celebrate.
I like the way, I'd like to ask the question, why did me and Jamie get called out and you didn't, Paul? Because it's interesting. I've never heard you particularly profess your love for Beast Wars, or ever mention any of the episodes you've watched.
I've got all the Beast Wars. They're over there.
I've got all the Beast Wars.
Yeah.
I love the Beast Wars.
Every time I come on this bloody show.
I'd love to tell you we only do it to wind you up, Dave.
I don't hate Beast Wars. I just don't have time to watch it.
But now even Rohan's on my hit list as well. Now I need to hurt him because he dared not say that Beast Machines wasn't the greatest thing of all time.
Brad did, I think. Brad said it was. Right, cool.
It is highly popular, though, isn't it? I mean, it is good. But that's the reality. Is it the best Transformers cartoon ever?
No,
arguable,
easy.
But you know,
it's not arguable. It's easily
certainly huge. Well, you know, you go on about writing and everything. There's so much positive stuff written about Beast Wars.
Machines or Beast Wars?
Beast Wars, not well. Beast Machines is too dark and just goes off in a bit of a weird kind of way. I don't know what they were thinking with that, but yeah. I have that. Though. I have it. Thanks to Paul.
Sorry,
but Paul wants to move on now. So.
Could you tell? Right, it's time for Fourplay. So Fourplay tonight is our favourite dinosaur.
Lynn, these are sex people.
What do you mean?
They're sex swappers. Lynn, this is DEFCON 1. Look. Don't make the same noise as them. Don't think you want to join in.
Still. It still gets me every time.
Every week.
Alan Partridge is responsible for like me almost having a heart attack once when he dropped the it's the fat envelope, not you, Lynn. Like the first time I heard that, like I had a mouthful of food and it just went everywhere and I just ended up choking.
Choking to death.
I can't believe there's people who still haven't watched it.
Died watching Alan Partridge.
Is there a better way to die? He was.
I could think of a couple, but yeah.
Right. So this week it's our favourite Dinobot. So it's called Fourplay because there's 4 of us. Still fits.
Which there is.
And
yeah, it still
there
works.
is. It's still truthful. 5 play won't work. So who would like to go first? Your favourite Dinobot toy? Or it doesn't have to be your favourite, just any old Dinobot.
You go first, Jimmy.
Okay, my one is the king of the Dinobots, good old Grimlock. The reason I picked this one is because this was the first time looking at a Studio Series Leader class Transformer, and it came in the size for the scale which me as a chug collector we wanted. Massive and big. Where he was bigger than Optimus Prime, and Optimus Prime had to look into him. It was almost like all your fantasies and dreams and wishes all coming true at once. And getting the Dinobot which you saw from the cartoon, before the
Our
size
fantasies and
scale.
dreams do not necessarily match up here, Jamie. I'm just going to point that out now. But Grimlock,
Well, I've been with Maitland for 20 years, so sometimes it's
careful now. Careful.
Spices up there.
We all have very different fantasies.
Gareth, quick trust exercise, ultimate fantasy.
We're just doing the ultimate fantasy, we're all doing it.
2 lesbians, probably. Sisters. I'm just watching.
Well, for me, it's Grimlock.
That's it.
Just watching him as I sat down and he's on the table, on the shelf, and I turn around and I go, he's still there. Just check on him every so often, make sure he's not disappeared or been randomly taken by some relative with grubby hands. And here we've got, just the shine, the plastic, that chunky feel, the fact that they redesigned it, to give better movement and articulation, not having all that gump at the bottom, although you can bring it out to give that sort of feel if you kind of want to, but why would you? It's like they've upgraded it, they've improved upon perfection, and it's just got a wonderful transformation, nice and chunky and big, and the dinosaur mode itself is big, and that's what we want.
Your transformations are just lightning fast now.
I know.
I've never seen anything like it.
It's because this section's pre-recorded. Is
that what you're telling people?
Right now, we're getting bored to death with Dave talking about Beast Wars in reality.
Shots fired.
No, Beast Wars.
I know someone who's banned from TFN 2022.
But yeah, so you got Grimlock there, and it comes with the flame effects, and it's that sort of big robotic dinosaur, which we wanted, huge as well. The size is massive. It's just what you want. The Power of the Prime Dinobots were kind of nice, kind of good, but this looks like the cartoon version. This looks like what we originally used to see in the comics before, as I said before, scale started to jump up and people didn't really realize what size they should be anymore. And it's just an amazing figure. It's just like, the colors, hopefully it's not got GPS syndrome, it's just painted gold. But yes, you've got, I don't think GPS is really a gold plastic syndrome is even a problem anymore. But yes, it's just brilliant, isn't it? You could just see that color, that massive thick tails, the original colors of the original toy there. The fact is, ratchets in the legs, even where the knee will pop out, and then the knee can hold its position by clicking in, so you could help to hold a pose. It's just ferocious, and the fact that the mouth can open nice and close. It's just what you want. The only negative thing I would say is for a toy that size, especially after we had Hot Rod, I do wish that the hands were articulated. I do wish we could have fists that opened and closed. That's something I would very much like, in future sort of versions of these toys. But what we're now doing is we're having a waiting game. We've already got Slug, Slag. We're now waiting for Sludge, Swoop, and it's now. So that's what we want now, and that's like it's almost like dare we hope that these will become a reality Is it a forbidden dream? Is it something that we can touch? Is it out there? Will it come to us? You know, we don't
getting
know.
back to that fantasy again, Jamie.
I know, because it's almost like they're
Forbidden
teasing you
fruit.
with two figures, which are just like, it's like anyone who doesn't like Grimlock, you know, I don't care, but you can buy another one for me. you know, I just, it's brilliant. And it just hits all of those nostalgic touches.
Cool.
And as Dave was talking about earlier, this is a toy you can give a kid. It will survive the wall test for at least a second throw.
Are you going to experiment again, Jamie?
No.
Cool. Okay, talking about Snarl, that leads us on nicely to yours been.
Yeah, Rohan will be pleased. Well, I'm gonna go old school, and go with my knackered up, falling apart like every single one I've ever seen. G1 Snarl. Oh, you see his leg with the fist. The damn thing never wants to stay up there for too long. But there you go. There he is, G1 Snarl. I am lucky enough to have 4 of the 5 original G1 Dinobots. I've never been lucky enough to get hold of the Swoop, but I've got 4 of the 5. And Snarl was my childhood favorite, and I couldn't explain to you why particularly. I mean, I could go on a whole diatribe about how wonderful and incredible his artwork was and how it made him look by far the best Dinobot of the lot, and he was so underused and he's been crapped on this whole bloody life. I mean, you know, in the G1 comics, they gave him some, I can't remember what the disease was, but they gave him like some disease that was breaking down his metals and he was dying, and the other Dinobots had to try and save him in one of the annual stories, I think it was. In the movie, god damn it, don't get me started on Transformers the movie. How can you miss out Snarl for most of the film?
He was in it for
and
like
have him in a few frames,
wasn't he?
Well, he's in a couple of scenes. He's the one on Earth when they get the transmission from is it Bumblebee and Spike, and they're listening in, and he is there for a split second. And then on the Quintesson ship, I think it is, when it's coming into land on Junkion, he's in the window going, "Hello."
And before they say
here.
coffee smells, it's like
It might be, well, yeah, he might well be visible again.
Because
there.
isn't there like a quest of fans trying to get those 3 scenes and just plaster them over Twitter so Hasbro knows he was in the film?
Yes, well, yeah, I've seen that as well, and I hope it works because it's
literally 3 scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah, and it's blinking, you'll miss it if you didn't. In fact, when I was a kid, I didn't think he was in it. It's only when I was an adult and you get to watch it back on DVD or whatever it was. I watched it back. Actually, I watched it back on VHS first, but it's when you can actually pause it and go back and look that you start to see that it's there. And he's just the best dino. His design, his dinosaur mode was great. Oh, the chrome and everything's still shiny and reflective. And this is a beaten up old version. You can see it's coming loose in places like so many of the original ones were. But we need a good, decent, modern version of Snarl. We need the Studio Series to do him right. And I really hope Hasbro do. I hope they don't fall back on this thing of, well, we don't think he really was it. He was, and we need him. And he's always just been my favorite by far. And that's, there's not really much more to say about it. I mean, it's a G1 Dinobot. So for starters, it's just, it's everything you want.
He used his fins to like harness the solar energy to.
Yes, supposedly his fins allowed him to absorb solar energy, which he could then fire through his tail. And it was, I'll tell you what it was as well. It was that episode, not SOS Dinobots, was it War of the Dinobots, when Swoop and Snarl make their debut and they are thrown in there to kind of stop the Dinobots. And if you watch it, I mean, all right, they take a few hits. I'm not gonna say they don't, take any hits, but they hold their own as 2 of them against the other 3 Dinobots, and that kind of, I think, cemented it in my head. And out of the 2 of them, Swoop and Snarl, I just always preferred Snarl. I like the Stegosaurus. Boring as a dinosaur as it might be, I liked them when I was a kid. So yes, for me, at the moment, G1 Snarl is still my favorite because we haven't really had a good modern version. I mean, the Power of the Prime ones is all right, but I was not blown away by it.
One was good.
Yeah. But which one? Gigapower. Yeah, but they see again. That's not. See, I'm a chug collector. Those Gigapower Dinobots, all of them look fantastic. And in fact, I sat and watched the review of their Snarl, Gutter, or however you pronounce it, Thew's review of it just the other day, simply because I was thinking about this, and I had Snarl out and I was messing around with him. And then I just went, you know what? I want to watch that Thew review of Gutter and just. And I really would. I'd love to get that figure, but again, You know, it's
not
not
Chug.
necessarily that easy to get. It's not Chug
It's
as well.
the wedding fit.
I do have that thing about
Machine
scale.
gun, yeah,
It's,
Andy.
I'm so
You
annoyed.
don't touch that stuff.
Plus, if I get into
Don't touch that stuff.
if I get into Masterpiece, it'll bankrupt me. I'll end up on the
I just
streets.
think with like they're so big, aren't they, in the G1 cartoon? I think you could get away with it. Like with Earthrise
Size-wise,
Prime
I think you could,
surrounded
yeah.
by the Gigabots,
Yeah.
would look awesome.
I agree. I actually think you probably could, because there's episodes where you see them and they were just huge compared to the
Prime.
regular Autobots. And even Prime, yeah. I mean, and all that. But yeah, we love the Dinobots, don't we? I mean, who doesn't really love the Dinobots? Whoever you are, you're wrong. Love them. They're great. But Snarl would be my favourite.
Cool, brilliant. David, your favourite or a choice?
Well,
Dinobot
you know what?
from yourself, sir.
I mean, I just have to echo Andy's sentiments there because I'm exactly the same. Snarl is my favourite, and I don't know why. Actually, I think I do know why, because of how cool looking he looks on the Dreamwave Dinobot poster.
Yeah.
Where he's just sort of stood in the background with his arms folded. And he's obviously just got the giant spikes, and you just think, yeah, he just looks awesome. Plus, on top of everything else, like the fact that his personality is that he's the loner one of the group. You know what I mean? He's literally just there to hurt people. You know, I always just like that. Yeah, it's.
I always felt like Grimlock should be my favourite, and I do love Grimlock. I mean, who doesn't love Grimlock? But there was just something about Snarl that just appealed to me. I think when he's in his robot mode as well, with the two halves of the tail that split out to form that kind of almost chevron-like thing behind him and everything, and just the look of them. And if we get one of the studio series, I will. That may be it for me. I may just say no, it's not getting better than this.
If you're looking at the Dinobots and stuff like that as a whole, Grimlock is if you read Marvel UK, Grimlock is your favorite default. End of discussion. Because he was the one that got screen time. If you grew up like I did watching the cartoon, Grimlock was the comedy relief in season 3. Like he wasn't that took all of his edge away come Transformers the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So and that. Swoop was your human relation character. He was the one that you could relate to. He hung out with the humans and stuff. They went on an adventure. And then the other three were just sort of there, you know what I mean? But Snarl was just the coolest. Anyway, I only found out about this like 2 minutes beforehand, and given the fact that
Sorry.
I only have
There was something I meant to mention, by the way, Dave.
Yeah. So I just went for the other Dinobot that's on my shelf because I figured the studio series would go, so I've gone for Dinobot.
Actual Dinobot.
Actual Dinobot, yeah. Look, I mean, we can sit here and talk about like the fact that you guys have never watched Beast Wars.
I have, David.
I've never watched. I've watched bits. I've just never been able to sit and watch.
I've got the
all
first
the way.
8 issues of IDW now, the new Beast Wars comics.
Okay.
Listen to our desperation. No, we do like it. We do like it, Dave.
I saw one once in the TV.
I like Cheetah.
And Lion-O.
I loved it when Panthro used to use his nunchucks. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I want
Thundercats bands.
Yeah, I love it with Thundercats.
Why has no third party done a Transforming Thunder Tank yet?
Oh, it looks like a Transformer alt mode, doesn't it?
Think about it.
We could get. Oh, we're getting into
it would transform into Panthro, don't you?
It better.
It's got to though, hasn't it? Really?
I know this is completely off random, and we're talking about Thundercats now as well. But the pilot episode for Thundercats has Panthro has, in my mind, one of the most terrifying lines ever to be uttered in a kid's 80s cartoon. And it's when some of the mutants are like running up and he literally grabs the floor and lifts the floor up and forces them backwards while uttering the words, "I'm gonna loosen your bones for you too." It's like, that's terrifying, Panthro. Because he totally would. Like, Panthro is the badass, But Panthro, in fact, ironically, like, to link it back in and stuff like that, the cloth from which Rhinox was cut, he is the genius, but he is also the brute of the team. Normally those characters would be separated, but Panthro was there first, and obviously Rhinox went in, and then we talk about Dinobots. So, to reference what Rohan was saying and stuff, Beast Wars did so much that was different and unique in the Transformers canon that really hadn't been touched on before, and we really didn't have at any point a conflicted hero that was really looked into. And that was, again, going back to what Rohan had said, they didn't have a budget for a great deal of characters, so they had to make interesting characters. And listening to interviews from the writers, what they would do is they would just have the good guys bigger constantly. So Dinobot, because he was a Predacon, he would always run into issues with Rat Trap. He would run into issues with authority.
What do you mean by conflicted?
Well, because in regards to the story itself, Dinobot is a very honorable character. He'll kill you, but he'll kill you face to face. He's not interested
and
in
apologize afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the very first episode of Transformers sees Dinobot challenging Optimus Prime to a battle to the death, and then when Optimus Prime beats him, he's like, right, well, kill me, he's driven by his honor, and ultimately that is brought into question because of the fact that he starts to question whether or not his ability to decide what he's going to do is even his decision, because it's all based around time travel, and because the main thrust of Beast Wars, we come to learn, is that Megatron is literally attempting to change history. That throws Dinobot's whole philosophy into question.
And in the comics at IDW, they say that to Dinobot, the Maximal speaking to Dinobot, they talk about that his name is similar to the legendary Dinobots who used to fight for the Autobots, who were ferocious, honorable as well.
Yeah.
Given that connection to the, Dinobot who's got the mantle.
Yeah. And, and that's what makes him great. That's what makes him a character which I would argue has not been duplicated in terms of its depth or its delivery yet in the entire franchise. And I would put that up against comic books. I would put that up against movies.
What about Karnavik from Time Wars?
I was just thinking Karnavik seemed to have a similar character in the Marvel Universe comics.
Just completely ripped him off.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, nobody gives a crap about Karnavik. But yeah, the philosophy behind him and things like that, and then they kill him off in what is arguably...
What? He's dead? I'm just reading...
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. They kill him off in what is some of the best 22 minutes of television you're ever likely to see. And, then they bring him back as a clone, and then they start tackling the whole nature versus nurture aspect of character with Dinobot 2, as to whether or not Dinobot is, a product of his environment or whether he is a product of himself. And it's fascinating, especially if you look at the whole aspect of what is a spark and things like that. Just super fascinating, deep character, and one who, as I say, I think we've yet to see topped in terms of intrigue. But
Cool. Great choice. Thank you very much. I have chosen a bit radical, probably a little bit left field, probably a bit too left field for you guys.
Is it quieter?
Right. Stinger from Mask. So, joking. It's not really.
You could have done it. The octane inside it, you see, from Dinosaurs.
Yes, I could. I chose Grimlock. Not Grimlock in terms of his character, although I did like Grimlock's big brain. It's probably one of my memories as a kid, one of my favourite Transformers shows. But Grimlock from Fanstoys, which I bought at Transformers Nation, and I bought it from a lovely man, Ben's Collectibles, and I thought, that's Ben's Collectibles. I'll go over and see. He had no people at his stall, and I went over and I saw this. It was my first ever Legends figure, and I said, "Can I have this, please, Ben?" And he was really nice, and he was chatty and stuff. I was like, "Oh wow, what a cool dude." I didn't want to say, "Hi, I've seen you." I've looked at you before.
Through the curtains.
Play it cool, Paul. Play it cool.
In my room, though, but I'm still behind the curtains.
You're on my film. I played it cool. I was like, oh, yo, dude, how much is that Grimlock up there? £15? Yeah, I'll take that. And he had a good chat. He said, it's actually a really good Transformer. And it was. He is really cool. What I love about him, which is something we don't get enough of, and I know it divides people, is the cell shadedness of him. He's got that yellow, lovely yellow leather. He looks like a cartoon. We don't see that much, really. So, yeah. He's my boy. Right. That's it now.
Want to share this screen. I just want to share this picture.
For Fourplay. And let's look at some awesome Transformers.
This is another reason I want another Dinobots to come back. I just want to complete that image. So I've got Slug Slag, so now I just want, Sludge, Snarl, and Swoop, so I can finish and redo that photograph. And then I'll be, happy. Not die happy. I still want to live for a good couple of at least 6 decades. Well, maybe 8 decades, actually. I'm not sure.
As happy as any Glaswegian can be.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So Power of the Primes was lame. I think we decided.
It wasn't lame. It just,
so
deluxe size. Deluxe size.
The Dinobots were lame on Power of the Primes.
What was it? What was it? When did that line come out? 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that.
It's got to be getting on for that.
No,
five or 6 years.
About 3 years ago, the Dinobots.
No.
Was it 2017? Power of the Primes.
They ended. Power of the Primes was the last one of the Prime Wars trilogy. It combined Wars, Titans Return, and Power of the Primes. It was.
Do you remember? Do you remember like when you got those Dinobots and you were like, "Can't get any better than this, lads."
Yeah.
And then Hasbro's just like.
You just wait. That's because Mark hadn't risen to his excellence of
exactly. It was pre-Mark time. It was BM before Mark. Cool. Right, so it's discussion time now. Tonight we have my favourite discussion ever, TFN. The whole reason we do this show was because of TFN, and that's what the discussion is about.
Truth.
We've got some news about TFN next year. We're super excited, and Dave, thanks so much for coming on. So discussion time.
We now return to the Transformers.
Cool. So this year, Transformers Nation has been announced a mere week and a bit ago. It's going to be in the Hilton again. There was some discussion in Crapture. Is it going to be at the Hilton? Will it be somewhere else? Will it be somewhere weird? But we don't know. We don't like change. So
I've got some news for you. The Hilton's refurbished itself while it's been shut.
I've heard last year when I tried to pick my ticket. It was shutting then to refurbish.
Yeah.
There was going to be a little mini TFN. We were just going to turn up, weren't we?
Yeah, we were just rock up and do it anyway. No, it's still happening. We've decided.
Refuse.
Sue your ass for copyright infringement.
We would just sat there and gone,
we would have used no official merchandise.
We'll get ready for the Visionaries panel and pretend
told off for wearing the cap.
So
missed the Visionaries panel again.
So, David, tell us, you must be excited. It's been confirmed. It's going ahead.
Yes.
Full steam ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, it's just... I mean, it will be 3 years by the time we all get to meet up again next August. 3 years since the last time we did it. 3 years from the time that I stood up on stage and went, is there going to be a next year?
No.
Famous last words, I suppose.
Why did you say that?
So it's your fault, David. Is this a
It really is.
In the blame.
I said it purely as a cue line to cue up the logo for.
Oh, you are
TFN
people in the evil you wield.
2020, but 3 years. And in that time, and it's been, what are we doing? It's like. Is there going to be one? Is the convention even going to survive? Because the reality is, and I don't mind telling people this because we've pretty much come out and said it. The reality is that everything has moved on. People are saying that the world has moved on by 3 years thanks to COVID. That's literally what's happened. You know, and as a result, like, we've had no opportunity to be able to, you know, really bring in any revenue. It's you know, and it was really touch and go. It was like, can we actually do another one? And of course the answer is yes, because we're mad, you know, and we will do another one. But yeah, it was just nice because, you know, sometimes your back is against the ropes and stuff, and you do have to worry about how you're going to be able to manage this and things like that. Like, what does a TFN post COVID-19, or, you know, I say post COVID-19, come August next year, COVID will still exist. It will still be a thing. You know, we don't know how it's going to impact. You know, and people will have to make their own decisions in regards to that and stuff like that. But we've, you know, we have thought about it. It's like, right, well, what happens if we go back into another lockdown or something like that? It's, you know, and that's what we've been living with, is this uncertainty. And I think everybody's been living with that uncertainty. I'm not going to stand here and say, or sit here and say, like, you know, oh, woe is us and stuff. But it's just nice to be able to go, look, we're committed to doing this. We want to do this. Let's do this. And see what happens. You know, but in regards to doing that, we've had to make some substantial changes to the, you know, the way the show is run. But I guarantee you that, you know, when you show up in August next year, there's going to be a hell of a show put on.
Brilliant.
Will you have Megan Fox?
Only question.
What a question to open with.
No, I thought we were supposed to say something like, David, you're looking particularly attractive tonight. Quick, Paul, hit me with the hard questions.
Soften him up first.
I think when you look at our show, like, it's based on TFN, it's based on us meeting at TFN, and it's based on the chats and the conversations we've had at the bar over the last 3 years. We've got to know people more and more, and people who also formed the same sort of friendships in TFN. So there's a bit of, like, we kind of owe TFN quite a lot. And we understand you're a business, not you particularly, Dave, but the whole TFN is a business, and it needs funds to keep on going. It's massively, like, I've been to Star Trek conventions, I've been to Warhammer conventions, they're all brilliant. There's nothing I've seen compares to the effort that people in TFN put in, or the people who go there are just amazing. So you've had a tough 3 years. You've got brilliant news to hear, and we're all coming. That announcement that you said you teased, in a week's time we're going to give you an announcement. We're like, oh, is it going to be? Are they going to have it on? Is it going to be on the service station off the M5?
I did hear people say we're changing the venue. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, all of that stuff. Yeah, it was like sitting there going, right, okay, because, you know, it was kind of like, you know, we're going to announce that the tickets are going to go on sale. However, you know, let's discuss the elephant in the room. It's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going to be changing the way that we sell the tickets.
Is that a 1 year offer, do you think? So then you can maybe
the way that we're looking at it is, so I'll be honest with you guys, right? Because I feel like it can be, right? TFN as a business has a 5-year plan. That, you know, as any business would have, it needs to figure out what its short-term goals are, its long-term goals, and all of that stuff. Had a 5-year plan. That 5-year plan was Peter Cullen. That's what we were building up to. 5 years it took us to get there. TFN 2022 is year 1. Like, we're starting again.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the reality of it. Like, you know, it's now, if you were there back at the original TFN when it first started, you will know that it was unlike any other Transformers convention that has ever been run. Like, the amount of time and effort we put into the presentation of it and what it was all about and things like that, that is, you know, what we want to deliver, and we will deliver that next year, you know. And I guarantee you, like, we have got some stuff for next year.
But no Megan Fox.
There is definitely no Megan Fox
thing, JB.
You know,
let it go.
But we have
Rosie
we have
Huntington
some stuff. We have some stuff ready to go for next year that I am so excited to share with people. Like,
the effort you guys put in.
Genuinely excited.
We've got some questions. Exilian XL says, I'm hoping it doesn't cause any issues for TF Nation, but do those who book their hotel rooms early at standard rates hinder the convention at all? That's a good question.
Yeah, so how it works is we enter into a deal with a hotel, and the hotel tell us that we have X amount of rooms, and we have to sell those rooms. That is the deal. And if we don't sell those rooms, the Hilton goes, we want your money. Because you have guaranteed us this. Now, we've never had a problem in selling those rooms. If it were the case that suddenly everybody decided I'm not staying at the Hilton, then we might have a problem. But yeah, people get I get it. Like, I really do get it, because people want to be at the Hilton. They want to mix with people and stuff like that. And it is super stressful. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know what it's like, because I used to go to conventions and stuff like that and try to get the hotel room and stuff.
I think what I would interpret that question as meaning is people who book early, do they affect the allocation which is available to TFN?
No. Our allocation is locked in. Like, what we release in February is not going to change between now and...
Awesome.
Do not reference the fact that I just mentioned a month there.
What month?
It's a secret. No one in the entire internet will
Paul
keep that
will
secret.
edit it. Paul edit it.
It's just between me and how many people on the planet right now.
Yeah.
Internet, I don't know.
4 billion. Us, the 26 people in the chat, and anybody else.
There's about 100 questions about Megan Fox.
In all seriousness,
that's your fault, Jamie.
In all seriousness, no, though, we are looking at. Well, we will definitely be releasing the tickets next year. And I did mention a month there, but that could be subject to change. Yeah. So, don't...
That's the nature of the situation we're in, though, isn't it? I mean, you guys are having to do things on the fly a bit still. You'll put plans in, don't get me wrong, but, those plans might have to change depending on how the winter goes and everything, so...
Yeah.
So, Arafai's got a question. Before I want to ask a question, before he leads into Arafai, it's like, loads of us who have too much time on hands turn up on the Thursday now and just meet up and go home on the Monday like absolute lords. Do you think they'll ever expand that? Like, I work really hard, so I do deserve the time off. I always book off extra days around. I book
it's
one
all
at the end.
Paul, we're not your wife. You don't
it.
have to convince us.
Lisa, she listens in. Do you think? Do you think they would ever like expand into like a Thursday or a Monday or Sunday even, because late night?
Reality is this: like, every single time we put something on during the day, we have to pay for those rooms. The question becomes, can we justify the cost of those rooms? And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to tell you the maths behind it, but you can figure out pretty much how much it probably costs to rent something like that. We never, we've talked about this before. If you were at TFN, for the first couple of years, there wasn't a Friday show. There was something on the Friday night. We put a movie on. The reality is, in regards to the Friday, and this goes a lot to how we've restructured the pricing and why Friday is now its own separate thing. The reality is, the reason we started putting things on during the day on Friday was because we needed to keep people out of the way of other bits of the convention while we got on, while we got on building it and things like that. And I certainly won't hide from any of the issues that we've had. If you were there the first time that we did the Friday daytime, if you'll remember, it was a tiny little room. Not much wider than the room I'm in now. And anybody could go. But because people show up on the Thursday, the Friday, the Wednesday, whatever it may be, to make the most of it and stuff like that, we was quickly realizing we're running out of room, you know. So we expanded to the room down next to the pool. 2019, that room was standing room only by the end of it, you know. It was absolutely rammed for the quiz. So yeah, like, you know, that's why we've separated Friday out, because we didn't intend for Friday to become a day, but once you've done it once, you can't not do it again.
So you're saying potentially this could happen to Thursday? Thursday could become the new Friday.
I mean,
in 10 years' time, we'd be like 6 weeks longer.
All 6 weeks for the holidays.
I like the fact that I have gotten to this age and I've got very little grey hair in my head. Do not push me. Like,
I'm going to say, Dave's going to be exhausted after 6 weeks of emceeing.
We're getting a lot of questions about salsa. I'm just trying to avoid them. Question from Arrowfire. What time is schedule looking to kick off on the Friday, roughly? Do you think it'll be an early one or midday?
I can't comment yet, not because I'm trying to hide anything, but purely because of the fact that I haven't even looked at it yet. I need to figure out what we're doing. No, that's not true. I do know roughly what we're doing. I just need to figure out how it's all going to fit together. It will be kicking off, I would hope, early-ish in the day. But there's just, you know, a lot of logistics to figure out and stuff like that. Again, we still won't know for a little bit of time yet. But yeah, one of the things that I think, you know, I'm aiming for and what the team's aiming for is just that, you know, come early next year, you'll have a good sense of what's going to be taking place at the convention. You know, so that people can make an informed decision as to, you know, what it is that they want to be part of.
I have a personal question to ask you, more to do with your linking with the TFN. When I first came to
married,
TFN,
mate, yeah.
I saw you on the show. Don't worry, I don't mind. You know, a little foreplay is okay with me. You know, as long as you do try to put a ring in my finger, it'll be okay, David. So when I was first looking at TFN, you were very much the face of TFN, and I honestly thought like one of the head honchos, one of the sort of like big members of this sort of like fraternity, whatever way you want to describe it. But when then I met you at the TFN thing in Newcastle, and you were so friendly and easy to talk to. You know, even though I think I'd only been to 2 TFNs before and I hadn't really ever met you before, and I always thought that was such a great thing with all the people involved at TFN, even the people in the staff for helping the queue along. And then I noticed you on social media, you're also quite polite and you're quite good and funny, and you keep that. And I think when social media, when it comes to my job, like teaching and stuff, I have to be a completely different personality. There's no way I could do what I'm like on this show for teaching. You know, in fact, if teachers, even some of the job or the education I work with, if they started to watch the show, I'd probably be crying to Paul, you're going to have to edit some stuff. You know, I've got a list.
That would never happen. In the 96 shows we've done,
as if
200
as if
hours
we've
of
ever
recording.
asked Paul to edit anything out.
But do you find that quite taxing sometimes, or is it just part of your character? The fact is, it's all the people involved in the TFN very much into this interest, into this hobby, this love of Transformers, and want to get as many people involved as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say yes, I am a very sociable guy. Like, you know, I'll let other people make the decision on that and stuff like that. The very fact of the matter is, there is not a single person who works on the committee that is not a fan of Transformers. Like,
that's awesome.
And you know, every single one of us started as a result of going to Transformers conventions, you know, and then, you know, how it is, like, we went to auto assembly, we started helping out with auto assembly, and then when auto assembly was no more, we were like, this seems fairly easy, we could do this. You know, and you know, we realized it was much more complicated. But the good news is that, you know, to your comment about me being the face of TFN, the only reason I'm the face of TFN was literally because of the fact that the guy who used to MC for auto assembly said he couldn't come one year, and I just went, I'll do it. And that was it, you know. Like there was no great audition or anything like that. And fortunately, you know, they've just stuck with me for whatever, you know. But I think, you know, one of the big things is that like I kind of want to, you know, demystify that whole thing. Like I don't want to be like known as the face of TFN. Like it's never been an ego thing or anything, you know, like I must be on and stuff like that. It's like I know what my job is. I feel like I'm relatively good at it. I can entertain a crowd, cool. But let's diversify it up. Let's have Leanne there. Let's have Patrina there. Let's get guests interviewing guests and things like that. Because the last thing anybody comes to TFN for is this face. You know.
Come on now, Dave. You know that's not true. It's all everybody talks about at the bar.
I've got a poster of you in my ball.
What's Dave wearing today?
Well,
what did he say?
Usually me flowery shorts, which I keep for a Sunday. My special shorts.
Peter Cullen's. Nobody cares about Cullen. Just tell us what Dave was doing.
That's it. You know. But yeah, you know. So, like, you know, if people think that I'm approachable and things like that, then obviously, you know, that's great because that's what I need to do. But genuinely, it's like it's not that I like try to affect a personality or anything like that. It's just this is who I am. And I enjoys the Transformers just like everybody's else, you know.
Oh, that's why we love you. There's some more questions to get. Just quickly before we do get a couple more questions, if you're right, David, with this time, we've got like we never ever ask you to subscribe or we don't do Patreons or anything. If you do like fancy chipping in £1, there's the actual TFN Nation going across the screen right now, patreon.com TFN Asian. So feel free. Well, it's not TFN.
TF Nation.
Asian.
It's TF Nation. How complicated?
TF Nation is literally the.
You're all saying it wrong. It's always been TFN.
You're not even a
Asian.
fan of Transformers, are you?
Wherever it says at the bottom, just go to that and give £1.
I thought we could do a calendar.
I just want to point out here that I had nothing to do with this cheap.
No,
pulling off.
I'm just glad that I've worked out how to do the ticker at the bottom. Quite proud of that.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
He's just playing with
it. And for once, it doesn't say like Alexis is a penis head, which is what it normally says. It's nice to have something sensible on there. Right, more questions. Loads of questions about Motion City. Are Motion City there? I really liked the guys from the salsa groups. I don't know if you would know that.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think for last year when it was
I've
going to
heard
be,
good things about
they
the
were
Quilters.
booked in the week beforehand.
The Quilters were awesome. The Quilters were fantastic.
See?
Magic the Gathering
Dave
are
knows.
there often as well. I quite like the Magic the Gathering guys.
I'm honestly not sure. Obviously, the Hilton's a big place and stuff like that, and so it can accommodate multiple conventions and stuff like that. But you know, just to set like a rumor aside or whatever it is, like the reality is even if we do share that space and things, you know, people wonder if we have less bedrooms and all of that stuff. It doesn't affect anything like that.
It's a bar we should focus on.
Well, exactly. That's it. There's enough of us. You know, there's enough of us to overpower any, except for the Quilters. They're monsters. You know,
Dan's asking.
Stay out of
Dan's
their way.
Hardcore.
Are we going to get more YouTube announcements from? Do you remember the time before,
Yes.
Leanne and yourself?
Yeah.
We realised that, didn't we?
Yeah, so you know what, like YouTube is like a really awkward thing because it's just so time intensive, and I work full time. You know, I get it. You guys do a show every week and stuff like that. Great, you know, and you all work and stuff. So here's me complaining, but
I work.
You know,
they're teachers.
You know, hey.
Really?
Hey, look,
Shall we get into the times you've messaged me saying,
my wife's
I've just
a
watched
teacher
a whole
as well.
series on Netflix? What, at work? What's that?
Hey, look,
I'm just sat watching Netflix and like me and Jamie are actually working. But anyway, all right, maybe.
I'm working now.
As to this day,
my eyes are like bloodshot. I've aged.
Sorry, I've triggered them.
Teacher over here. Like, you know, I say you guys, you know, anybody who decided to want to go into teaching, as somebody who did teaching for 2 years and then went, I don't want any more of this. I'm out of here. Like, you know, God bless you. You know.
To be fair, you lasted longer than most there, Dave.
Honestly. That's what
right.
happens when you. That's what happens when you end up teaching GCSE without a teaching degree.
Freestyle.
Wing it.
Literally, it was like, do you want to come and teach? Well, I don't have a degree. That's fine. We'll sort it out.
It's like School of Rock.
All right, okay. It
For
literally
drama.
was. It literally was. I ended up
thing.
teaching GCSE for 2 years to a bunch of students, and it was like, I don't have a teaching degree. I've literally
Tell them
just
that
come
at the
out
end, just before they got the results.
You know, yeah, exactly. That was it.
What were you teaching them, German or something?
No, for my sins, I was actually teaching drama.
I was just going to say, it's got to be drama with your acting background.
It was. Yeah. It was like walked in the first day, and it's like, right. So, bearing in mind that I came in like halfway through the first year, and it was like, so what have you guys been doing? Oh, well, we've been doing this, this, and this. Right. Well, we won't be doing any more of that. You'll be doing this instead because it's easier and quicker. Now get to it. Probably explains why I wasn't a very good teacher. But I was teaching them a moral lesson, which is that in life there's always going to be some prick who's going to tell you what to do.
Is that the lesson?
Yeah, exactly.
And I am that prick. I love it.
We've got a few questions about cosplay. Do you reckon there'll be a cosplay championship this year if we can help it?
There will. What there?
Yes.
Oh, good.
And my question,
Excellent.
every time we ask her, is the person who wins under pressure to give it to the kid?
They are now.
Damn you.
We
Hannah
would say
Wayne.
that if we won it,
Is
we'd
it
be
going
like,
to be
no.
a secret prize for the real winner? Is it going to be a secret
I like to think now that we've had what is going to be like a 3-year break, you don't have to follow in the footsteps, you know. Like, because I'll be honest, like for the last 2 years, like, you know, I was sitting there like thinking to myself, how in the world do you follow up that animated stuff that we did in 2019? Like, where do you go after that? Like, you know, once you've reached the top.
You go to the complete opposite, Dave. Complete opposite end of the spectrum, where you're just there dancing in front of the other people. You suck.
Just me.
You suck. I win.
It's me coming out on the Saturday night, just doing a one-man stand-up. You know, it's like, you know, and it's
Seinfeld
just,
style.
You know, like yeah.
Observations about Transformers. Notice Starscream.
Anybody noticed how Optimus Prime's so red? Yeah,
one of his enemies uses it to paint himself.
Got a bit dark there, Jamie. Jesus.
The Transformers have blood, actually. Would it be black? I don't...
They do in Bay films.
Which
otherwise,
oil,
it's Energon, isn't it? An oil, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was in the comic book. Was it Bumblebee or someone nearly bled to death at one point?
Ed asked, do you think the new price structure will have any impact on attendance?
I have no earthly idea. I can't answer that question. I'd like to think that the only thing that it is going to impact in regards to attendance is that people will be able to buy what they want based on the things that they're interested in. You know, because like, here's the reality of TFN. We had 1,300 people at the con in 2019. You do the maths, like, you have a look at the size of those rooms and you realize how many people we could have in any particular room or whatever it is. You'll notice that, you know, there's or even in the bar or whatever it might be, you know, there's a chunk of the fandom that come along, get their toys and stuff like that, and that's what they're after and things like that. You know, and so hopefully this, you know, part of the reason that we did this new structure was so that people could look at it and go, well, I'm more interested in that aspect to it, so I'll go for that one, as opposed to saying, you know, overall, right, here's the ticket, you're buying it irrespective, and go, you know, even if you don't want it. So kind of like what I'm hoping is that, you know, people, it won't have an impact on attendance. What it will do is just give the people, give people a better opportunity to have the thing that they want.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Will there be Gundam again? I know Gundam's been there before, and I think with the Star Saber thing, I wonder will they be pushing more sort of connections with Japanese Transformers than Gundam?
Far too early to be asking questions like that. That's not me hiding anything. It's literally
I'm just mimicking what's on the chat. Actually,
I was going to say that's what somebody else in the chat wasn't.
I don't give a
what's talking about Gundam?
I don't give a crap. Look at him backtrack. I couldn't give a toss.
But they do have good pubs in Japan based on Gundam. I'm just saying.
we've announced the convention is happening Sunday. The tickets will go on sale. People will be able to buy them, and then we'll start looking at what's actually going to be on during the show.
I like Gundam,
but you absolutely need to be there on the Saturday night.
Ooh.
You tease us,
Wallace.
Absolute tease.
I watched one of those bot things. Remember that bots at home, and you had that person. I've forgotten his name, and he was trying to make a Gundam figure in 30 minutes. And after half an hour, he just got all the things out. The sort of like the staples, whatever you call it, the sort of framework. He hadn't even started building it yet. It's like codes 1 to 52. Oh, seems like a nightmare.
I'm going to say, me and Jamie, I think it's fair to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but we're not necessarily the biggest Gundam fans in terms of like buying the kits and building the kits. It seems like hard work. It seems like, I've got kids and a job. I don't need to sit there.
Teachers, as soon as you come up against hard work, you just buckle, don't you?
Well, that's the reason.
Here we go. We triggered him.
That's what I wanted tonight.
And the fact is, every Transformer, you'll notice that the top bit kind of scrapes in when you put it in the head. So if you put the sticker on there, it's probably just going to come off. So
it's why I've never understood this whole appeal of Lego. It's like, what do you mean I have to build it myself?
It's amazing.
No.
How could you say that?
Because Transformers has taught me that the most that I have to do is to learn how to transform things. Like,
don't Alexis
scary girl and
Alexis. That's not fair. Oh, dear.
Right, cool. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming on. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about TFN wise?
Is there anything we haven't touched upon? I mean, obviously you've said this yourself. The tickets.
GoBot fans allowed.
GoBot fans.
as the GoBot license was purchased by Hasbro, we will honor
official
Hasbro till all are one.
Exactly, that's it. It'll only take a couple of more years before He-Man is welcomed as well.
Come join the family.
Once Mattel loses the He-Man license, and all of that stuff, and Hasbro conquers everything.
Exactly. Choice.
Choice, you have none, sunshine.
Exactly. You don't need it. Let's make things easier for you.
That's it. I mean, let's be honest. In a couple of years' time, when Hasbro get hold of the He-Man license, nobody's going to care about the He-Man license anyway. So nobody does anyway. But that's.
This is true.
Let it all out, David. We're here to listen.
You what?
Let the hate flow through you.
No, you know what it is. I'll be perfectly honest. Like, I think He-Man as a concept is great. I just think He-Man has never been executed very well. Like, that's just my take on it. Like, but clearly it is.
Yeah, I get that.
Because there's at least 4 or 5 people who really care that Teela is actually the main character of the cartoon.
Careful now, let's not trigger some people. Let's not set this off. Twitter
David,
will be
save
alight.
it for He-Man the show. We do that on the Saturday. It's awesome.
Yes.
Right, thank you so much for coming on,
driven.
sir. If you're watching, please go head to Facebook and TF Show UK on Twitter, TF UK on Facebook, or Transformers the Show. Go to patreon.com/TFNation and you can, or TF Nation if you so wish. Please, we've never asked for a subscription, a subscribe, a Patreon, or anything. If you do like enjoying the show, we'd always appreciate you going there.
Yeah, give it the TF Nation. We'll appreciate it.
That's it for this week. Join us next week. Alexis will be back, and
Does it have to be for? I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll
do a vote.
talk about it.
We'll
off
do a
air.
people's vote.
He's a
We'll do
new
a people's
father
vote.
now. Surely
Dave, you
he's
get a vote now.
a year's
You've been
rest.
on enough times.
And we will see you then. Bye bye.